So we're looking at our, again, special triangles, 30, 60, 90, 45. So when you see 30 or 60, you should be drawing two triangles automatically, either 30 degrees or a 60-degree triangle. Now, when I see a 30, 60, you want to automatically label the three sides. The 60 angle is my short side with a 1. Hypotenuse is always times 2, and the third side is square root of 3. Automatically, you should be writing this. On the second triangle, once I draw the triangle, I automatically should be filling out the sides. Where does the 1 go? The right, the hypotenuse, or the bottom? Looking here, 60 is my chubby side. You are short, a long back. Whoops, that's square root of 3. And 2 is the hypotenuse. So if we know 1, 2 square root of 3 is my triangle for 30 degrees, I'm going to have you guys right now take a look how fast we can come up with our sine, cosine, tangent. If I say sine of 30 degrees, I want everyone, when we're first learning this, as like right now, draw a small cross. Everyone just draw a small cross. 30 degrees, okay. In your mind, where would 30 degrees be? If we're at 0 degrees here, 30 degrees would be a small angle that rises out of the ashes like a phoenix. Okay? I'm going to complete my triangle. Write 30 in the corner. Hey, if that's a 30 degrees, we're going to fill out all three sides. 1, 2, square root of 3. How did I do that so quickly? Because my short side, my hypotenuse is double, and my long side is always square root of 3. Once you have the triangle, and we've practiced this repeatedly, once you have the triangle, you just have to copy the sides. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, opposite is this side, hypotenuse is this side. So it's 1 over 2. So to find our sine, cosine, tangent for our easy triangles, step 1, draw a cross. Step 2, draw the angle, and then make the triangle. Draw the triangle. Step 3, fill out triangle. And don't forget the positive and negative ones, negative signs if you need it. Once we have all those, step 4 is fill out our fraction, fill out fraction. Okay. Now, if you remember to solve your 36-9 triangles in this way, no matter how long it is, you will still remember where to put everything, the 1, 2, square root of 3, and in which quadrant. If not, you at least have steps to figure it out. Okay, our next question is cosine L150. So first step 1, draw angle 150. 150 is on the other side. If this is 150, what's my reference angle? What angle is left over? If this is 180 over here, we are 180 minus 50 is 30. Hey, I've seen that triangle before. So once step 1, draw the triangle. 2, we draw the angle and then draw the triangle. Step 3, fill out the triangle. We have a 1, 2, square root of 3. You can always think of also, look, square root of 3 is always next to the 30. Square root of 3 is always next to the 30, okay? That might be helpful to you. So now, are any of these negative? Going up and left. Going up and left. 1 is going up, so that's positive, but square root of 3 is negative because we're going left. And the hypotenuse is always positive for us. Now that we have this, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Looking at this drawing here, what's my adjacent and what's my opposite? Adjacent is square root of 3. Opposite, no, sorry, hypotenuse is 2. Did I copy square root of 3 correctly? Is that positive or negative? What is it supposed to be? Negative. We're going to continue this. What if I write the tangent of 210 degrees? What is the tangent of 210 degrees? Of course, you could type this onto your calculator, right? We have calculators for everything, but the point is to not use our calculator so we can derive this without a calculator. Tangent of 210 degrees. Okay, let's draw the triangle, the angle first. Angle is 180, a little bit more, is 210. We always draw our triangle back to the horizontal. Now, what angle would be inside the triangle? That's going to be 30, because 180 to 210 is 30 degrees. Hey, we've seen this triangle before, haven't we? That's going to be 1, 2, square root of 3. Double check, are any of these angles negative, going left and down? Turns out they're both negative. Awesome, we have all three sides of a triangle. We just now have to copy our opposite and adjacent. So from 30 degrees from the reference angle, the opposite is -1, and the adjacent is negative square root of 3. We can rewrite that as +1 over square root of 3, and then we move the square root on the top because we don't like square roots on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to have you guys do the next problem for me. Okay? And we're going to fill out a poll to see how far you guys get. So the next problem is going to be the tangent of 60 degrees. So I'm going to talk you guys through this. Step 1, draw a cross so we can just kind of get an idea visually, where's this angle going to fall. Everyone draw a cross. Draw the cross. And then draw a 60-degree angle. Once you've drawn the 60-degree angle, make that into a triangle that lines up with the horizontal. It's sitting on the floor. So you should have drawn a cross, drawn a 60-degree angle, and then drawn a triangle to the floor. What angle would go in this corner? This would be a, write it down please for me, 60 degrees. Since we've seen this triangle before, hey, this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We can fill out all three sides. 1, 2, square root of 3. Now that you see all three sides of a triangle, what sides does tangent stand for? If you forgot, you can do SOHCAHTOA. Hopefully you guys have remembered already. SOHCAHTOA is opposite, sine is opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite adjacent. So you need to write the fraction of opposite over adjacent. Go ahead and copy that fraction over there, please. Once you guys have done that, go ahead and pick. I'm going to write a poll real quick. You guys are going to tell me what the answer is. Give me 1 second. Okay, we're doing cosine of 210 degrees. First step, draw out a cross. Step 2, draw the angle. Finish that by drawing the triangle, and then label the reference angle in the corner. 210 degrees is over 180, so I'm actually going to be in quadrant 3. Now, please realize the triangle doesn't have the best triangle in the world. Just something in this corner will be great. Finish my triangle. I know it's a 30 degrees because 210 degrees is a little bit more than 180. Oh, great. It's a 30-69 triangle. Go ahead and please fill in all three sides. What side goes next to 30? You kind of give a hint with that. So we should be saying 1, 2, square root of 3. Follow this up. Are any of these sides negative? Does anyone? So we label our negatives going left and down. Do we ever label the hypotenuse negative? No. And then we're going to do cosine. Cosine is what over what? Cosine's your buddy. Cosine's adjacent. Adjacent over hypotenuse. So go ahead and fill that out. We'll throw up a poll. Now take a look at this poll. If the answer is negative, also click negative, okay? If the answer is negative, also click negative. If it's positive, leave it. You can answer more than one thing in this poll. Okay, another 3 seconds. Cool, thank you very much. So 74% of you guys thought this was negative, and you were absolutely right. This is a negative, and adjacent is square root of 3 and 2. And know what? A majority of you guys, 63% of you guys got this right. Now, for those guys who wrote 1/2, very common mistake. For those guys who are writing square root of 2 over 2, no clue where you're getting that. I don't even see a square root of 2 here. So hopefully you're not just randomly guessing. Okay, I'm trying to walk you guys through this, what you guys are supposed to be doing. And I've been doing this for years, and I find that it's easiest for kids to just draw it out so you can visually see it. Okay. Okay, Nadia. So let's talk about the next phase. We're going to go from degrees to radians. Now, radians, looking at these main easy angles, 30 degrees, 60 degrees, let's say 45, and 90 degrees, okay? 30 degrees is, think of 180 as just 18, okay? 18 divided by what gives you 3? 18 divided by 6. So it turns out it's actually pi over 6 gives you 30 degrees. How does that look practically? It's 180 degrees divided by 6 gives you a 3 and a 0. Here's another way of thinking about it. Imagine you had a bowl of dessert. Dessert. And you had to share that with 6 people. Oh my God, 6 people. Is there anything left for you? You have a little bit of dessert left. But if I say pi over 3, what if you only had to share the dessert with only 3 people? That means you have a lot more. Another way of looking at this is 180 divided by 3. What's 18 divided by 3? That's just 6, 60. So if we divide something by 6, you end up with smaller degrees. If you divide something by 3, you end up with more. Now, how do you think I can get 180 to become 45? So here's the quick trick. Can you guys divide 180 in half really easily? What's 180 in half? That's 90. And then cut 90 in half again. 90 in half would be like 40 something. Oh, 45. So it turns out if you divide it by 2 and 2, you're really dividing by 4. So pi over 4 would always be a type of 45-degree angle. And 90 is just dividing pi by 2. So these are our most common special triangles that we have. Now, one of the things that you guys want to realize is that if I see pi over 6, 3, 4, or 2, automatically, it is a special angle for us. So let me give you an example. If I write 5 pi over 6. Please notice that is a 6 on the bottom. You will always get that pi over 6, which is 30 degrees as a reference angle. 5 pi over 6 is really close to a full pi of 6 over 6, and that will be automatically 30 degrees. Let me do another one. Okay, again, pi over 6, please look at this. Pi over 6 is a 30-degree angle. Do we make it to a full 6? No, we're short. We're short by 1. That means we're a little bit less than a full pi. And we know the reference is automatically going to be 30. Always going to be true for us. Let me give you another one. If I write 4 pi over 3, you guys all see pi over 3? What type of angle is pi over 3? Is it going to be 30 or 60? Well, pi over 3 means I got a bigger cut because I shared it with less people. That's 60. Now, if this is 3 pi over 3, because that's 1 full pi, 1 over will be 4 pi over 3. Now, here's a hint for the reference angle. Pi over 3 means this is automatically going to be 60. Automatically, no extra work needed. This is actually even easier than degrees. Okay, since we drew these two triangles, why don't we go ahead and label the sides now? We drew a cross, we drew the angle, we drew the triangle. Now please label the sides. What side goes next to the 30 degrees? Square root of 3, 1, and 2. Double check, are any of these negatives? Square root of 3 is negative. Let's look at the next one. Okay, I see 60 degrees. What side goes next to the 60? That's going to be a 1, 2, hypotenuse, square root of 3. Since this is going left and down, these are both negative. So now that we have all three sides, I can ask you sine, cosine, tangent, no matter what. And honestly, like, till like your brain like takes that step over, then it becomes a lot easier. So I'm glad you asked the question. Okay, so now we're going to do our sine, cosine, tangent with the same idea here. Okay, here's a crazy one. I'm going to ask you guys the sine of, let's do 11 pi over 6. 11 pi over 6. This might look confusing, might look tough, but I'm going to tell you it's not that bad. Okay, so pi over 6 is going to be what type of angle? You should be thinking pi over 6 is what type of angle already? Oh, it's a 30 degrees. So, and isn't 11 pretty big? But is 11 bigger than double 12? So double 6 is 12. Is that bigger than 12? Nope, we're a little bit short. So we didn't make it to a full 2 pi. We're a little bit short. If you guys hear screaming in the background, that is just my daughter going crazy. Because it's her free time after lunch. Okay, remember the hint is, what type of angle is pi over 6? Is that 30 or 60? Write 30 in the corner. Fill out the sides. Since I know it's a 30-degree triangle, 30, 60, 90, square root of 3, 1, and 2. Are any of these values negative? The 1 or square root of 3? The 1 is. And the square root of 3 is positive. Okay, almost done. Let's now go ahead and fill out the sides. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Go take a look at the triangle that we drew. What is the opposite side? And what is the hypotenuse? I'm going to throw up a poll when you guys are ready. Please fill out this poll.
Mister, I got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
How do you know whether it is 30 degrees or 60 degrees?
Great. So here is the trick. If you look at the fraction, that automatically tells you what angle it is. And pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So we automatically can use 30 to save time.
Oh, I see now. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's even easier than degrees, as long as you know which angle it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, no problem. Remember, if this is negative, to label negative. If it's positive, you can leave it alone. Okay, a lot of people voted. I'm just waiting for just one more person. Thank you.
Where does the numerator come into play?
The numerator?
Yeah, because that does the numerator, like, is what you're multiplying pi by, is that does that determine what quadrant the triangle?
Yes, it does. Think of it as how many pieces you have. I have 11 pi over 6s. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh.
That's one way of thinking about it, yeah. For this one, 4. And in thirds, that's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3. Ooh, a little over a full pi. Good question. I'm glad that clicked for you. Okay, so great job. Most of you guys, let me share the results for this poll. Most of you guys did get 1/2, and most of you guys did write negative. Great job. For those guys who are still picking the wrong answers, go ahead and look at this answer. Opposite is -1 actually, and hypotenuse is a +2. Great job. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna go backwards now. Now that we could go forward, we're gonna go backwards. Now, I'm gonna show you guys this idea of inverse is going backwards, okay? And this, hopefully everyone is kind of okay going forward, and we're gonna go backwards. So, a couple things I need to make sure you see is if you ever see square root of 3 over 3, this is really 1 over square root of 3. Square root of 2 over 2, this is really 1 over 2. Make sure you rewrite them. Life will be 1,000 times easier. If you see 2 square root of 3 over 3, guess what? That's actually just 2 over square root of 3. So whenever you see a square root on the top and the same number on the bottom, it really was from the bottom. Sorry, this is a square root of 2. Miscopied it. Okay, if you see, yeah, that's okay. All right, here we go. Let me stop sharing. Okay. So we can go forward, we can go backwards. And this is the idea of inverse. So if I give the problem sine of theta is 1/2. Now sine of theta is 1/2. So here is what you need to do. Very similar strategies. First step, just draw a cross. Just draw a cross. And then tell yourself, sine is positive. See how that is a positive value? In what quadrant is sine positive in? Well, we had a way of figuring that out. Remember, all students take calculus. All students take calculus. That means everyone's positive, only sine is positive, only tangent is positive, and only cosine is positive. Everyone can go to hell. Everyone's a negative. So looking at this, if sine is positive, what quadrants does our theta fall into? And what quadrants does our theta fall into?
2.
It's 2, good. As well as quadrant 1, because everybody is positive in quadrant 1. So please look, I just drew 2 triangles. Instead of drawing 1 triangle going forward, going backwards, we actually have 2 possibilities. So sine is positive in quadrant 1 and 2. Now, here is the next step. Don't freak out, okay? It's actually pretty easy. What sides does sine stand for? Sine stands for opposite and hypotenuse, doesn't it? So guess what? In this angle here, opposite has to be 1, hypotenuse has to be 2. What do you think that third side is going to be? We've seen this triangle before, right? Square root of 3. And that is our right triangle. Now the next step here is tell me what angle goes in this corner? Is it going to be the 30 or the 60? That's going to be the 30 degrees. Remember, the square root always goes next to the 30. Sorry, the square root of 3 always goes next to the 30. On the other side, we're going to do the same exact thing, okay? The opposite of this angle here is side 1, hypotenuse is 2. Where did I get those numbers? I got them from the fraction. What is the third side going to be? We've seen this as square root of 3. Careful. Are any of these sides negatives in quadrant 2? Okay. Now fill out the angle. What angle goes in the corner? Because square root of 3. So our first answer was 30 degrees. But what's our second answer? Get it way over here. That's not 30 anymore. I get it. The triangle is 30. But what angle would take us all the way from 0 all the way here? That's going to be 150 degrees. It turns out we actually have two possible answers. If sine was 30 degrees, or if sine was 150 degrees, these are both true answers. Seems like a lot of steps. There's a lot of logic flowing, okay? I'm gonna do this a couple more times, see if you guys on pace. Okay. So let's do something similar. Let's use the cosine of theta is exactly the same as 1 over 2. And this actually will change our triangles. It will change our drawings. First step, to help me visualize this, I'm going to draw a cross. To help me right now, when is cosine positive? Because you can't just draw random triangles everywhere. We don't know where it is. We don't know what it's going to be. But we can say cosine, we know at least is positive. And let's see, all students take calculus. So in what quadrants do you think this will be positive? Quadrants 1 and 2? No, that sine is positive. Quadrant 3? Nope, tangent positive there. Cosine, oh, cosine is positive in quadrant 4. So we're gonna draw a triangle on the top and on the bottom. Okay, if you notice I drew two different triangles. So now let's fill out the sides that we know. So now that we know the triangle, we don't know the angle yet, but we do know that the adjacent is 1 and the hypotenuse is 2. So based on this angle here, the adjacent is 1 and the hypotenuse is 2. The third side has to be square root of 3. Please look at the second triangle. Looking down here. Is this the opposite here? Is that opposite? Yeah. I don't know what the opposite is. I only know what the adjacent is. And the adjacent is 1. Hypotenuse is 2. Third side is square root of 3. Make that negative because we went down. Follow-up question. Now that we've seen this triangle, 1, 2, square root of 3, we've seen this triangle before. This is going to be that's right in the corner, a 60-degree angle, a 60-degree angle. So counting from 0 to go up, that is a 60-degree angle to start off with. Theta has to be 60 degrees. And the second angle going all the way around, we didn't quite make it to 360. We only made it to 300. Now, to add to the complication, what if this was in radians? What if this was in radians? Well, not that bad actually, because what type of angle is 60 degrees? Pi over 3 or pi over 6? Pi over 3 or pi over 6? That's going to be pi over 3, because 18 divided by 3 is 6, so 60. That's one fast way you can always go back and check. How about 300? How many 60s get us to 300? 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 5. Or you can just divide. How many times does 6 go into 30? 5 times. 5 pi over 6. Okay. Here's another way. Isn't double the denominator? I messed up. That's not 6. 5 pi over 3. 5 pi over 3. Sorry about that. Here's another way. Isn't 2 pi just doubling 3 becomes 6 pi over 3? Hey, 6 over 3 is double. And you were 1 short. So you're 5 pi over 3. Okay. So on your homework today, that's what you're actually going to be asked to do. First, tell me how many possibilities do you have? Okay, how many possibilities do you have? Next, in many of these cases, it will be 2 possibilities. In many of the cases, it will be 2 possibilities. When is it only 1 possibility? It's actually only a few cases. Is 0, 1. So when sine is 90 and cosine is 90, over here, when cosine is 180, sine is 180, that's going to be -1 and 0. And cosine is 270, and cosine is, sine is 270. That's going to be 0, -1. And cosine is 0, sine is 0. That's going to be 1, 0. So if you look at these, some of these answers will only have 1 possibility. Whenever you see sine is 1, look, there are no other ones here. So whenever you see sine is 1, there's only 1 answer. And theta is equal to 90 degrees. When cosine is -1, that's only 1 answer. When cosine is +1, that's only 1 answer. I want to highlight this. These are only ones that have 1 answer for us. Okay. Also, let me ask you this next follow-up question. What if I asked you this circumstance? The problem's going to ask between, sorry, this is my last example, okay? Sorry. Between 0 and 180 degrees, or we can say between 0 and pi. How many times does sine, how many times does cosine? Cosine theta is square root of 3 over 2. How many times, how many thetas between 0 to 180 or 0 to pi is cosine theta equal to square root of 3 over 2. This is what I would do. Just draw it. So for cosine is square root of 3 over 2. Let me ask you, is cosine positive or negative here? Cosine is positive. That means we're either in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. But there is a situation. Am I allowed to play on the bottom of the circle? They told me between 0 and 180. Isn't that just the top side of the circle? So just the top side of the circle, how many possibilities do we have? We only have 1. So there's only 1 answer here. If they ask me between 0 and 360, sure, we have 2 possibilities then, right? Because we have the whole circle to work with. but sometimes they might limit your answer. So make sure you look when the IXL that they told me only from 0 to 180, that's only the top side of the circle.